lately I have been talking with guests, not only here in Little Rock, but also in San Antonio, about the need for helping pastors to get through the burnout, because we're seeing that on such a grand scale. It seems like so many pastors are just packing it in and saying, I can't do this anymore. I am just literally worn down. What kind of advice do you have to someone who's listening or watching and says, hey, I'm at that point?
Wow, that's a great question, Steve. And actually, believe it or not, I've been involved in some study of that very question on pastoral burnout. Now, I was president and chancellor of a seminary for about 20 years. And there was a time that we recognized across the evangelical world that roughly a third of those that we trained to go into ministry left the ministry within the first 5 years. So there was huge study to say, this is not only burnout, it is very rapid. And COVID accelerated a lot of the pressure on people. Believe it or not, some of the internet things accelerated pressure because everybody can look at preachers all day long if they choose and compare the one that's in their church pulpit, rightly or wrongly, they do that. And so preachers feeling huge pressure. And then during COVID, no matter what choice you make, mask or not mask, services or not, no matter what choice you make, you're in trouble with somebody. And so we recognize, and you saw those studies by Barna, that something like almost half of all pastors, I think he said 40% were thinking about leaving the ministry. Wow. Here's what our studies showed. Early on, now this would be when we were recognizing something like 30% of all pastors leave the ministry in the first 5 years. Why is that? The first assumption was fatigue. That was the first assumption. Even the word burnout kind of says so much pressure, so much time spent, it's fatigue. And it's true in the sense of it's a demanding job. Pastors don't work 40 hours a week. They work 60 hours, they work 70 hours, they work 80 hours a week. And always there are the emergencies. And if you're in a smaller church, believe it or not, you may be busier than a pastor in a large church because you got to preach, the Sunday school as well as the midweek, as well as the funeral, as well as the wedding. And then you have to care for people in the hospital. Well, all those things. I'm telling you things you know. But here was the discovery. It just didn't turn out to be true that it's fatigue alone. Pastors, if they go into ministry, expect to work hard in long hours. And they have high commitment or they wouldn't be in ministry. Because you're never expecting to make a huge salary. You're there because of your commitment to the Lord. You're there because you're not expecting the world's acclamation. You're expecting to serve the Lord. So why is burnout happening? Here's what we discovered. It's not just fatigue. People can recover from fatigue. What they cannot recover from is fatigue mixed with anger. If you get angry, why aren't they paying me more? Why is everybody criticizing me? Why are they criticizing my family? Why is it that nothing I do is ever enough? If you mix being tired with bitterness, then you cannot survive the ministry. And it's just a very simple message of you cannot preach to God's people if you cannot forgive them. You can't just keep getting back up in the pulpit every Sunday. Why are they treating me this way? So you have to actually learn to live the gospel in order to preach it, right? And yes, it will be a heavy burden. Yes, there's lots of work. But in some ways, Steve, you know this, when you see people changed by the gospel, it so invigorates you. It so instills your heart with a sense, I got to do more of this.
Yeah.
But if you begin to get bitter, why are they doing this to me? Why don't they listen? Why don't they pay me more? Why don't they help my wife? Why don't they help my family? If the sense of resentment creeps in, that will wipe you out faster than anything. And so it's just a matter of you have to learn to guard your heart, not guard your time. Yes. Everybody needs a Sabbath. Everybody needs time with their family. Everybody needs some rest and recreation. But you also need to forgive people. They're being sinners just like you. And
wow.
if you can't, you won't last.